Good code to me means somebody should be able to come in behind you and pick up where you leave off without having too much difficulty.
I mean, I think readability is really big. Not only having it work properly, but having someone else who's inevitably going to come behind you be able to read and understand what's going on.
Good code is code that is easy to read, does what it's intended to do, is testable, and most importantly is maintainable as well.
I think good code is the intersection of thorough requirements, reasonable timelines, and experience. So there are a lot of developers who will tell you there's a perfect way to write code. I think there's just taking someone who knows the problem you're trying to solve and giving them the time and the requirements to solve it thoroughly.
Good code has a nice smell. It's got a bit of a lavender scent, and if you print it, you can actually scratch and sniff it.
Readability, still, I think, making sure that you're not doing something that's going to be really hard to change, because it always changes.
To deliver value to the business. That's ultimately who is paying for your development work and who is your true client.
The most important aspect of development is collaboration. So whatever designers and system designers and business leaders can get together on the same page and find a way to see your idea to fruition. I think collaboration's the most important part of development.
Not being afraid to fail. A lot of what we do is beating your head against a wall for hours on end until it just suddenly works. So I guess a high pain tolerance and not being easily frustrated.
I think Bill Gates is one that always stands out, just because not only has he been successful in tech, he's done a lot of other things outside of that.
I'm going to say Martin Fowler. I enjoy a lot of the things he's written, and I agree with a lot of the things he has to say as far as being pragmatic in your approach to code. I agree with a lot that he has to say.
In the world of tech, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Well, that's Dave, because he signs my checks.
You know, you just have the right tools at hand to use.
I mean, there's various logging tools, obviously, that can always help in production. Hopefully you can catch it before that, but other than that, old school log lines wherever you can, especially when you're dealing with AWS, because they don't always have, it's not always possible to debug in a cloud somewhere.
Generally speaking, what I would say is you have metrics that your application is gathering, and when you see a deviation from your baseline, it's an indication that you usually have something to investigate. May or may not be an error, but you would investigate and make a determination as to whether or not this deviation is expected or not. If it's expected, you would reset your baseline and continue moving on. If it's unexpected, you start looking into tracing the cause of that issue and tracking it down. If it's a bug, you resolve the bug and push it out, and hopefully your metrics go back to normal.
I don't write errors. A lot of times it comes down to identifying if something is a missed requirement or a bug or an error. So I like to start there. You know, how did this happen? And then work my way back. Oftentimes finding the steps to reproduce an error. You know, we use the cloud, so we've got AWS CloudWatch. A lot of our databases have logging.
Usually there's a bit of smoke, and then some heat starts coming off of it. And eventually you find a fire.